Going on, everybody? This is Daryl Andrews, Coach D, coming here with one of our LinkedIn, Facebook, and multiple stream lives. Um, I'm finding that I think afternoons are the better time to do this because I typically will do them in the morning, but my California people probably gonna miss out if I do mornings. So, um, but just want to drop some wisdom, and I think we've starting to label these, got a name for these things called Coach D Wisdom Points. And from my years of experience working with training, coaching, and consulting people literally worldwide. And so, with that being said, um, I'm just coming to you from my location here in Florida. I'm telling you, it's beautiful down there. It's hot, but it's beautiful. So, we have our location in Delaware, we have a location in Florida, and loving it. It's really amazing. I mean, these palm trees just make you feel like you're on vacation all the time. But anyway, it's nice to have a business where you can have multiple locations and do your work from multiple spots. But with that being said, I mentioned just a moment ago that we've been doing this work for a lot of years, and I've had a chance to interact with a lot of people. And so, one thing I've learned, you learn certain things that kind of apply to various aspects of life when you interact with so many people over so many years, organizations across the board. And and I'm going to say this, and this is not an insult to anyone out there that may claim that they're intelligent, but I know a lot of smart people that are not very successful at accomplishing things in their lives. They're smart, but they're not accomplished. Other words, they can, they're book smart. They can whip off some knowledge and insight that you may have never heard of before, but that's as far as it goes. It doesn't go any further than that. Matter of fact, they can debate with you and argue with you when it comes to certain statistics and certain things that are going on because the reality is they're smart, very smart people. May have gone to school, got the PhD or two PhDs, but they're smart. All right. And so people respect that, and I respect it too. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being smart. Okay. Definitely not nothing wrong with being smart. But I'm going to give you another thing to consider here today from what I've seen in my years of doing the work that I do. And if you feel led to, if you're watching this, drop a thought into the chat feature. I may be able to see it. I may be able, I may not, because depending on which this is StreamYard that I use is challenging because you can't always see comments. But um, I would question if it makes more sense to be full of wisdom and wise over just naturally just being smart, or because the reason why I say that is I've seen a lot of smart people that are smart, but they're not accomplished. Then I've seen a lot of people that aren't really super educated, let's say, and they've done a tremendous amount of things with their lives. You know, and here's the reason why I believe one of the challenges with just quote unquote being smart is you think you know it all. And when you get to the point where you think you know it all, that's a dangerous place to be because that means now I can't learn anymore. And I've also decided who I am going to learn from. So I'm only going to learn from people that's smart as me or smarter than me. Okay. Because to me, those are the only ones that are relevant. But what I found is that the people that are wise learn from everybody. They can learn from smart folks. They can learn from folks that's not so smart. They can learn from accomplished, even non-accomplished people because they're wise. They're sucking information. And let me tell you why, if I can drive this home as to why I think this is important. A lot of times we talk about the word wisdom. All right. All right. Wisdom. All right. And I like to break that word down a little bit because the wise part and the dumb part go together because people who are wise seem to have dominion. Think about that. Some of the biggest companies in the world are operated by people that dropped out of college. Bill Gates and many others. All right. And so, yeah. And so the reality is this, Aaron, thank you for your comment. The reality is this. I try to encourage people to be smart if you can. I mean, if you got the academic acumen, go for it. But also to really pursue wisdom. And this is why wisdom, there's just a slight deviation, separation from the two. Wisdom is really just, as many have heard this before, the application of knowledge. Think about it. Now, somebody can give us several people a blueprint for success. And you see this all the time because people pay for coaching programs, people pay for training programs. I coach and train people and I have programs myself. But you'll see some people do extremely well, and then others who get the same information, they don't do anything with it. And then when you see those people several years, no, several months down the line, what they typically will try to do is blame something on what they went through. Like, oh, I didn't get enough information here. I didn't get enough information there. And you say, well, wait a minute. Several people who went through the same model you went through are very successful. What do you mean? And it's really because the people who succeeded literally took what you said and applied it. You know, it's the same with some of my customers. We do training and development. A lot of people want you to come in and give us that one-time hit, man. Let's get it. We're going to get fired up and we're going to get motivated. We're going to get this done. That feels good. There's some knowledge that goes forth from that. But then you go see that same organization 3 months from now, and they back to normal. I'm not even 3 months, 3 days sometime. But then there's the ones that say, you know what? Let's do some ongoing professional development. We have a lot of customers like that now, and I'm excited about it. I mean, we have a lot of customers we're doing ongoing professional development with now. Team building, core values, integration, a variety of different things. These are the people who said, no, we're going to stay at this till it becomes applied knowledge. In other words, we're going to work this until it works. Those are some wise people. Those customers are wise customers because they understand people just by nature are not going to change overnight. And in order to go from knowledge to wisdom, you got to work at this. It's a process you got to work at. And so again, you know, like people ask me, they'll say, and you've heard this before, but matter of fact, I'm gonna use a quote. There was a movie years ago called Wall Street. All right, Michael Douglas played in that movie. I used to love watching that movie because he just was, you know, he was something. It's something. There you go, Ashley. That's right. And so, you know, here's the thing. So Michael Douglas was asked, you know, what kind of people would he like, does he hire? Would he like to hire? And he said, do they hire the Harvard types? Do they hire the Yale types? He said, man, forget those. He called them schmucks. He said, forget those schmucks. Nothing against Harvard or Yale. Love you all. Please don't get mad at me. He said, give me 5 people that are street smart and hungry, and we'll beat them all day long. And know what? You know what? Companies and organizations are starting to recognize that now. I just recently heard some of the big companies are now even hiring kids out of high school to do coding. Because why? The kids are they're smart, but they're wise. They learned something as young people, took that knowledge, applied it, now have a high level of knowledge that can get them 150, 160 G's a year out of high school. Application of knowledge. And so I'm gonna say to you out there, for those of you who proclaim to be smart, well, it's good that's a good thing. But boy, if you can apply smart with wise, you're bad. You're a bad woman, you're a bad dude. Because you can have all the knowledge in the world, but if you don't apply it, I don't know what you're doing with it. It's just it's really more frustrating than anything. I've had conversations with people, and boy, they sound really good. Like they have great levels of understanding and knowledge. But then those same folks will come back to you and say, man, there's certain things I'm trying to do with my life. I just never done them, or I can't do them, or no, man, because you have to realize it's more than just having that. It's what do you do with what you have? As a matter of fact, uh, Dr. Benjamin Bloom in Bloom's taxonomy places knowledge number six when it comes to this whole thing of critical thinking. The highest level, all right, Dr. Bloom puts it, we call Bloom's taxonomy. Let me put this in here so we can make sure. Let me, I don't know if I spelled this right, but you know, the thing becomes what Dr. Bloom is saying, hey, analysis, synthesis, and judgment evaluation are the 3 highest levels of critical thinking. The ability to analyze, I've said this before, and I'll keep saying it till people get it, to analyze, break things down, look at it. What's the best move forward? What's the best step to go forward? How do we do this? Okay. And so we had that, but that part. Then we have a synthesis. Now, once I analyze, what's the best way to move this forward? Like, how do I take all these pieces that I've thought about and now make them put them in a usable format? And then from there, the highest level, he says, is um, judgment and evaluation. That means taking what you've analyzed, what you've synthesized, and put it into a usable format. Coach, I thought you were a motivational speaker. I said, no, that was 20 years ago. I do motivational programs. But today we do strategy, man, because motivation without information, write this quote down, don't use it unless you give me credit. Motivation without information is simply a good conversation. I'll say it again. Motivation without information is simply a good conversation. And I had to learn that the hard way, because I'm by nature a motivational person. Yes, I've done thousands of motivational speeches, but the reality is motivation by itself is good, but motivation in conjunction with application is better. It's better. And that's the uncomfortable part. So like, for instance, the motivation fuels you. Okay, get you excited, get you going. Now you got to go do the dirty work. You got to put together a plan of action. I love this quote from this book, Atomic Habits, that I've read. In the book, it says that you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Think about that. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. So what that means is that in reality, if you don't have systems in place that's keeping you moving forward, you can have all the goals in the world. Those goals within themselves are going to become frustrating. Okay, they're going to become frustrating. So just wanted to drop that today. I would rather be wise than smart, personally. And realistically, I wasn't the best student in college. I was good, but I wasn't the best. But I've written several books. I've traveled all over the world. I've presented on some of the biggest stages in our country. I've coached some of the most amazing human beings you ever want to meet. Not because I'm the smartest person in the world, but I'm definitely one of the wisest people. I study and research like everybody else, so there's some smarts there too. But the reality is, I was not an honor student when I graduated from college. And a lot of these folks out here that running companies and organizations weren't as well. So, but let me clarify this, because a lot of you are in college. Get the best grades you possibly can. Nothing wrong with that. What I'm trying to say is get that good grade, but then take wisdom and connect it to those good grades, because you can graduate high honors, and that's cool. But the question becomes, what are you going to do with that information? What are you going to do with that information? Is that information going to be used in a positive way? Or is that information just going to be something that's going to look good on a piece of paper? All right. So the reality is this. All right. If you agree with me, pop it in the chat feature. If you don't agree with me, challenge me. I have no problem being challenged. If you say, Coach, that's insane. You see, I like what Aaron says. Let me show what Aaron says. Aaron says, wise comes from experience, wins, losses, mentors, other people's wins and losses. Smart is different. Love that stuff, man. See, I like when people pop stuff. Like, see, when you pop something up, I mean, if I could see it, I'm going to pop it in there so you can get it. We can put your information up here. That's powerful, Aaron. It is the truth. See, I've been mentored by some of the best. I've watched my mentors. I've watched people who I've admired. I've learned, I've asked questions. I'm willing to approach them and say, hey, how did you do that? Okay. How did you accomplish that? Now, if you've listened to me before, I'm going to share another quick story that kind of aligns itself with Aaron is talking about right here. And that is, here's the deal. So I met a man named Earl Stafford. I told many of you about this, but you're going to hear it again. That's the thing about hearing the speaker. They tell the same story several times, just different ways. Earl owned a company called Unitech. And I met him because I saw a full page ad on him, article on him in USA Today. African American, United States, one of the most successful businesses in the country, Black-owned businesses. So I reached out to the man several hundred times. I didn't get any response, but so the 701 time I did. See, when you want something bad enough, you go for it, right? And so I went down to his offices and drove to his offices in Virginia, and he gave me one of the group. We never had much interaction after that. I didn't even need all of that. All I needed was a little bit. So we met, and one of the greatest guys I ever met, just super successful. Recently sold his business to Lockheed Martin. He's doing well, but he shared something with me that I want you all to get as I get ready to conclude. And this should conclude. And this is the wisdom part. He said, He said, why did you approach me? Why did you pursue me? I said, well, I read this article and I was just so impressed with what you were able to do in business. And I don't know a lot of successful business people. So I wanted to meet one and learn from you. And I told you when I called you, when you called me, actually, I said, I don't want anything. You don't have to do any favors for me. I just want to know what's up here. Give me the knowledge. Okay. I'll do the rest. And see if you ever, that's a key to mentoring. Because I get people call me all the time, want me to mentor them. But they just keep calling, but they had no plan. They don't say, Coach, can I just talk to you? They want to do is keep calling and talking. They don't have a strategy. See, I had a strategy with this guy. I see, I knew exactly what I was doing, a plan. I wasn't going to waste his time. All right. So anyway, so he says to me, he says, why do you think I'm successful? And then I start going down this laundry list because I was just as ignorant as the day is long. I had no idea why the man was asking me that. He said, let me tell you a little something, son. He said, I don't know if I'm ever going to see you again, but I want you to get this understanding. He said, most people fall in love with the dreams. All right. And sometimes these are our smart folks. Got this dream. I'm going to do this. I'm going to get that, get this degree, do this and that. Smart. Got it. We're going to go do it. They fall in love with the dream. He said, but the successful people in this world, Daryl, he said, they fall in love with the process. He said, because it's the process that takes you to your dreams. Think about that. Most people hate the process. Everybody wants quick stuff nowadays. Everybody wants it turned around overnight. Fast success because we getting too caught up in all these folks that's out here with all these different programs promising you that. If I coach you, I'm not promising you none of that. You're going to have to work. All right. If I train your company, we got to work. We can't just expect it's going to be just like that because of a individual incident. You got to work at this stuff. Just like athletes, it's no different. See, what Mr. Stafford taught me is fall in love with the process. That's when you achieve an outcome. That's when you achieve a goal. When you're willing to go through it. When you're willing to stay in it, when it's hard, when it's difficult, when you start, like you said, Aaron mentioned here, learning from other people and growing, like Dr. Miles Monroe. I must have read every one of his books and listened to every one of his CDs and tapes because he's so wise and full of wisdom and Les for many years, listened to Les and many others out there and read countless books. Why? Because wise is powerful. And to me, wise is better than smarts because the reality is you can be smart and do nothing. And you can be wise with very limited, quote unquote type stuff and achieve a whole lot more. So that's all I got for you today. All right. I just wanted to drop another nugget. I get these in every now and then and think about being wise. Get wise, like Aaron says here, from experience, wins, losses, mentors, all that. Because sometimes people can build phenomenal things. You listen to a lot of these musicians, that's where they got it from. A lot of them just hung with people that had wisdom and knowledge. Next thing you know, they're just as successful as that person that they hung with. You see, there's this guy I met years ago. His name is Rodney Jerkins. Rodney Jerkins, and many of you may know Rodney. He's a famous music producer. All right. Matter of fact, I got a chance to see him not too recent, recently through my good friend Johnny McGowan, Jay Ski, at Jay's studio in Orlando. So this is my second time seeing Rodney in like 20 years. But when I was sitting at the table with Rodney at this dinner for the Royal Bank, they had a big mentoring event. His phone rang. And I was kind of curious who was on that phone because I didn't know who he was initially. Then I found out who he was. I said, produced Whitney Houston, Michael Jackson. I said, this dude is something else. Russell Simmons walks in the building and runs right over to him and said, I got to get on your schedule. I said, okay, this dude is somebody. he's only like 26 years old at the time. All right. And so, but his phone rings and we were talking. He said, oh, hold on, man. I got to take this as Q. I'm like, real quick. I said, who's Q? He said, Quincy Jones. Bye, brother. We'll talk later. Afterwards, he told me that Quincy Jones was his mentor. No wonder this dude is so successful, man. You see, because why? He hang around wise people, man. People that achieve some things that are out of this world. So that's all I got for you today, y'all. I know I tell these stories, but thank goodness all the folks I've got to interact with over the years. What a phenomenal experience it's been and will continue to be. Now that I'm with these palm trees and sunshine, it's about to be on. We have conferences we're planning. If some seminars we're planning, get ready, because we're going to be emailing. We're going to get this stuff out there. This is my email. If you want to stay on our email list, you can do this, or you can follow this, email me and say, hey, Coach, interested in what you're doing, would like to learn more. We're going to get busy because I realize There's a lot of people out there, smart and wise. What we want to talk to you about is putting together systems. Okay? We want to put together systems because the systems are going to get you there. The talk is just going to make you frustrated. And the wise people use systems. The talkers just talk. And Ashley, thank you so much. I love stuff like this. God bless you and keep going. You keep going too, Ashley. I just put that there because I love the God bless you. And thank you so much. May he bless you as well in all your endeavors. And you guys just get out there and make it happen. And listen, for y'all smart folks, stop being smart and start getting wise. Take care. Bye-bye.